Let's get rocking and rolling. So we're going to sit up first. And we're just going to like lean into our, do a sloppy, I like to call it a sloppy stretch because everything's so tight sometimes. We're just going to just do a little stretch forward. That's not a good word to use in a Pilates class, sloppy. I might get kicked out, but that's okay. No one's really listening. Just get a nice little stretch. Good, good, good. Okay, take your arms back behind you and pull your legs strong together. Now, bring your hands in as tight as you can behind you and watch how your ribs and chest lift. Okay, keeping your head in alignment with your spine. Don't let your chin jut forward. Keep your head long. Okay, so hold that there. Now, in this position, you're going to inhale, open the ribs, exhale, let the back just drop against the arms. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Bring your hands in a little bit tighter. And I like to put my hands back in this position. Part of that is we're working our wrist space because we do a lot of texting, a lot of typing, and we have a tendency to not stretch out through the wrist space. So I'm trying to put it in an opposite position. So same thing, open those ribs, inhale, exhale, one more. Good, all right. So crossing the legs, releasing and feel the sits bones tight. Let's do a twist, just a simple twist. I'm trying to warm ourselves up before we lay down. Sometimes that makes you feel better. And release. Okay, so lying flat, head down. So I'm going to use the ball under my head and neck. I prefer to keep my head lifted a little bit, mostly because I'm lifting my head and looking at the camera here to make sure that you can see me and to check out to see you guys. Also, for anybody with any kind of benign positional vertigo or who has any kind of allergy perspective from pressure on their head, you want to lift your head a little bit, okay? Otherwise, keep it flat. So our feet are flat, and we're just going to rock our pelvis. So rock and rock. So we're going to do a little rocking and rolling here. So pelvis push to the floor. I should say your lower back push to the floor, lifting the pelvis, and then pressing it up. So we have an anterior and posterior pelvic tilt. It's really good. It's a good way to stretch. Coming out of alignment is a great way to stretch. Okay. Good. All right. Arms up to the ceiling. Wrap them around you, giving yourself a nice hug and rock side to side. Keep doing that. Rock side to side. Okay. Take your arms, place them down. Get the back of your shoulders really snug to your mat. Feel the length of your fingers and the ribs completely open so that the chest is wide open, heart's wide open. You're always available. Now let's bring our feet up, our legs up into tabletop. Good. Now we're going to tap left and then tap right. I get to see you at the top of my screen. That's great. Tap, tap. Now we're still just warming up. So give yourself an opportunity to feel your body get a little bit warmer. Now we're going to take both legs. They're still in tabletop. Let's point and flex. Point and flex. Keeping that tabletop, which is engaging the lower rectus obliques. A lot of good work going on here. Now, with the arms long, shoulders open, ribs expanded, you want to keep your back really tight to the floor. Let's take both toes down and then lift in tabletop. So as you see, I'm doing it a tad bit slower than usual because I'm really focusing on the movement. I don't want to come too far in with my knees, and I don't want my feet to be too far out. Hands behind the knees, bring them in. Okay, rock side to side. Now your back is speaking. Open the knees, feel a stretch. So what this does is it flattens out your lower back. It gives your back, all that connective tissue, an opportunity to literally flatten out and stretch. Okay, so hold this here. Now we're going to take our feet and point and flex since we're here. Might as well do it. Okay, now with the feet up towards the ceiling, you look like a happy baby. Your goal here is if your legs are apart and the knees are straight, if I were to hold on behind my leg, draw my knees in, I can feel stretch to the lower back, then extend the leg up. Draw it in, extend the leg up. Inhale, exhale. So the breath, what do we do about the breath? Well, you should try to inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose in the back of your throat. The mouth is used for eating and talking. It's really not meant for breathing. And a grunt through the back of the throat really helps you to exhale well. Okay, knees together. So left foot is down, right leg is up. We're going to lower this leg all the way down to the back. We're going to lift it straight up and down. So here's the length that you're looking for. So it's a lift and a lower, and a lift and a lower. So I recommend that when you come up, if you find that your knee's bending, then stop where the leg stays straight. We're always trying to lengthen around the joints. And if we don't keep the joints straight, we're not going to be able to lengthen. Now bend this knee, foot is flat. Left leg is long. First, raise it up, drop it down. Always focusing on your abdominals. Pulling in the lower rectus abdominis, contracting, feeling those obliques nice and snug around you. Leg up, bend the knee, and drop. Good. Okay, so we were doing our toe taps to the floor. That's a precursor to the single bent knee stretch, which we're going to try right now. So let's first bring just the right leg up. We're going to do this. We're going to break it down. So the right leg's up and the right hand is outside my body. Okay. So I'm going to show you on my left side, since that's the side you can see better in the camera. So my left knee's up, my left arm's out. So if I were doing a bent knee stretch, I would extend my leg at a 45-degree angle, and I would move my arm up and over, and then I would pull back. So what can you do if you can't raise the arm all the way up through the head, over the head? Then I would take my arm out here and pull it in. It's always a modification. What if the leg here is too low? Then I would bring the leg up higher. Okay? There's always a modification you can do. And the foot is flat. Now the other side. Your legs in tabletop, the arm is released beside you, same thing. Extend, single Bentley stretch. You can bring that knee all the way up and in. That's a nice stretch into your back, as well as your hip. One more like this. And release it. Good. Okay, so now let's put it together. So both legs are lifted. Both arms are out, but we're going to use one side, one leg at a time. So extend left, pull it in, extend right. Now, as you begin to do this, there are options. You can lift your head, neck, and shoulders like this. I highly recommend, and you know who you are, to keep your head down. If this is too much for you. Single Bentley stretch. Pull both knees in and release. Okay. So let's try double knee stretch. We're going to take both legs up again in tabletop. We're going to keep our head down all the time through this. First, we're going to break it down. Legs first, then arms. So let's do with just the legs. So when our legs come out, if we kick our legs out here, you want to make sure that your legs are high enough that your back is flat. So I always tell people to point their toes to where the ceiling and the wall meet. Pull it back in. And again, pull it back in. Keep going. Pull back in, place your hands on the front of your legs, the tibia and the fibula. Give some pressure there. Push down and feel how the back expands. Good. Okay, so we're back to tabletop again. Now, when our legs go out, we're going to bring our arms up. We're not going to raise our head and neck. So we're going to try sweep and circle the arms around the body. And again, overhead, sweep them around. So you're making like a circle with your arms. Breathe. I like to inhale, exhale with my circle. One more. Very good. Okay, keep these knees in. Feel your back. Ooh, feels good. Starting to warm up. Now, releasing my left leg. We're opening through the hip girdle, your iliac, bony tissue here, all the connective tissue. You're going to hold this right leg in, keeping your shoulders down. So now your left hand is on the lower part of the right leg. Your right arm is flat. So flat that you feel that right shoulder down, because that's your guide. You're going to bring the leg across the body, and you're going to feel the stretch. So go slow. Inhale, exhale. There's not a spot on the side of your body down into your tush, your piriformis, that you're not feeling already. Your back will lift some, but keep your shoulder down. Inhale, exhale. Bring it on back. Good. So right leg is down. Left knee comes in. I'm going to place my hands under, and then I'm going to put my hands on top of that leg, the lower part of the leg. You're going to hold with the right, release with the left, make sure the shoulder's down. keeping this as tight as you can towards your ribs. Inhale and exhale. So notice that my shoulder stays down, but my back is lifting a little bit. Inhale. And with the breath, you actually can move a little bit farther. Release it. Very good. Okay. So we're here. We're going to try some bridge work. Now, I recommend if you have something under your head and neck, you might want to take it out, keeping your head flat. So a bridge, a safe bridge. A safe bridge means we move up to our back right at the very bottom part of our scapula. So if I bridge myself up, I never want to go flat onto my scapula. I want to go just below it. Why, you ask? I'll tell you why. Because if you go higher, you're pushing your hips out of alignment. The whole point of a extension like this is that extension. If you come up too high, you're hyperextending. So with your arms long, feet flat, and feet wider apart, we're going to first tuck under. So when you tuck under and you feel your back really flat there, palms are down, shoulders are down, I'm going to articulate and lift. So I'm coming up right there at the bottom of my scapula. You can almost hang out here. There's a comfort level. You don't feel like you're out of alignment, which is a good thing. So you're going to stay there, take a deep breath. And as you exhale, if I were to take my fingers and push them between your breastbone, you would feel your spine pushing down. I would go down into the stomach space, spine going down all the way through waistline, tailbone, or lower back, then tail. Good. Again, roll it up and hold. Inhale and exhale down. I like to use the reference of a pearl necklace. And each pearl is your vertebra. The harder tissue. Between it is the dura, which is the softer tissue. Without that dura staying soft, your vertebra, your spine would be very hard to move. So you have to keep it fluid. And the best way to keep any joint, muscle, tendon around a bone fluid is to move. And you're doing that right now. Exaggerate, pull it down, flat back. One more. Take it up, take it up. Now with this last one, while we're up here, let's take our arms, they're up to the ceiling. So we're not overhead like that. Our arms are just up because you want to stay plugged, okay? Now, take your arms and wrap them around you. So stay in that position, wrap them around you, yep. Then slowly move yourself from here down with your arms wrapped. And then draw your legs in. Oh, and rock side to side. Good. Okay, so we're in that curl position here. For those of you who don't have osteoporosis, we're going to do some rolls. If you have osteo, please do not do this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cross my feet. I'm going to hold underneath this first time. And I'm going to rock and roll and rock and roll and come to the top. So I'm up here at the top. I'm going to draw my feet closer towards my tushy. My hands are going to be on the outside of my lower leg. And I'm going to lift my toes off the floor. Now, see my back here? I don't have to be straight. I can let my lower back drop, but keep my upper back straight. Okay? Head is in alignment. I'm going to roll, lift up, hold. Roll slow, lift up, hold. Roll. So what's the modification if you can't get your knees in? This, hands to the outside, underneath the knee. Okay? There are always modifications. Feels good on your spine, doesn't it? Okay. So we're up at the top. Pretty good. So for those of you who can't see my shirt, isn't this cool? It's my Christmas shirt. I wear it every year. I believe the old Santa that my dad used to have on our house was great. So you're going to use your ball and you're going to sit. So we're going to try to do some spine stretch forward. First thing I want to do is bring the ball into my belly space. So as I do that, I'm drawing my hips into the ball, right? So I'm straightening my back, pulling up and in. Your legs are about hip width apart. They don't have to be tight together. So in this position, my shoulders are down. My hands are relaxed against the ball because this is going to help me as I nod slowly and bring my shoulders down. I'm not curling them up like this. I'm keeping them in alignment and drawing into spine stretch and coming out of that. Simple nod, simple bow, spine stretch. So if you are doing this well, as you notice, I'm not going to say right because there's no right or wrong, truly. But if you're doing this well, you're going to feel it in the middle back space. Okay, the lats, the traps. More the lower and middle. Inhale. I like to exhale. Inhale up. Exhale. Come out of it. Good. Shake them out. Shake them out. Open wider. So open as wide as your mat. Good. So now we're going to do the same thing, length to the spine. So holding, so what you're doing is you're drawing your pelvis forward, right? So you're rooting your sits bones and your pubic bone down to the floor, okay? Holding the ball, nod, bow. You can come a little bit longer. Now that stack. It's so interesting to me that every single day when we move and we feel it differently. You could have been moving. For me, I feel yesterday I was moving and I felt really loose around my joints. Today, nothing's changed really, but I feel it more around my joints. So it's interesting how the body talks to you because it's an intelligent being. Okay, so now taking the ball back here behind you, keep your legs wide. Once again, we're going to lift. So we're going to work just in this space here, which we talk about here to here, which is the lower part of both backs, okay? First thing I want you to do is drop your lower back onto the ball without going like this. Keep your upper back straight. Now pull your lower back off. Drop your lower back on. Bring your lower back up. So you're doing pelvic tilts in a seated position. And I like you to practice it here because when you're at a stoplight in your car, nobody can see you. This is a great exercise to do, pushing against the back of your seat and lift up. Take it back and lift. It's a good way to separate and work both sides, both parts of the back. So now, same thing, we're going to let the lower back drop, and then we're going to engage the upper back. Bring your arms out. Come up. Go right into a spine stretch. When I spine stretch, I always keep my arms lifted. I don't let them drop. And again, articulate, let that back drop onto the ball. Inhale, exhale, rounding out the back, reaching those arms. And again, dropping. Looks good, guys. Oh, each time you go through this, you can really feel your back change. Oh, it feels so good, doesn't it? One more. Let that back fall into the lower ball. Open up. And lift. Reaching in a spine stretch. Oh, get that great stretch. Come out of it. Good. Okay. So we're going to move the ball a little bit away. We're going to let our back articulate, and we're going to rest, say, the lower middle back on that ball. Okay. Pull your knees together. So in this position, yes, the head and neck are floating, but if this is uncomfortable, draw your chin in. Okay. You can change that. So now here's where we're going to open up the shoulders and then arms here. So you can even move yourself a little bit off the ball. So you're back here and you can even lift a little. Back here, you could lift a little. Now you could be back here and you could lift all the way and take yourself forward for a spine stretch. Bringing yourself again back onto that ball and open. And again, lift. Take it back and open. One more. Open. Lift, lift, lift. Seated, spine stretch, and release. Okay. Release your legs. So I do want to talk about how when we went back there and we opened our arms up, for people with any kind of shoulder impingement, that could be very uncomfortable. So there's always a modification for that, which would be here. It would just be arms out or arms a little wider. It doesn't really have to be here. Okay. Good. So our legs are crossed. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little twist again. Get the ball if you have it and just stick it between your legs here. And twist and twist. Just open up hips. This feels really good. Oh, feels really good today. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the saw. So your legs are extended. We're going to use the saw as a way of doing a, I'm having a brain fart. We're going to do a twist. So keeping the ball here with your legs wide, squeeze the ball in so that this is helping to engage the upper quads, okay? Keeping your legs tight. So we're moving forward, right? So we're not back here, we're lifting. Your arms are going to be relaxed. Keep your chest lifted and your ribs lifted, okay? Head is in alignment. You're not here and you're not back here, because if you are, you're feeling it in the shoulders. So I'm going to twist in one direction. My arms are staying low. I'm going to reach my arm to the outside of my left foot. And as I do, my chest is still lifted. I haven't curved my spine. Now I'm going to saw off that left toe. Saw, 2, 3, come up with a straight back, twist, inhale. And as I reach, I'm going to saw, 2, 3, lift up, keep that back straight, use that breath, and reach, saw, 2, 3, come up, inhale, exhale, twist, saw, 2, 3, come up, keep going, twist, you're doing well, 2, 3, come up, one more twist, and reach, 1, 2, 3, come up, and release. Good. So we talked before about the saw and how important it is not to bounce. You don't look like you're bouncing. I was checking you out, those I can see. And reaching is always a good thing, but reaching like this takes you completely out of the movement. So you always want to keep your chest lifted. That looks good. Okay, take the ball a little bit lower. Let's take it between our knees. And you're squeezing it tight, okay? So in this position, you're just going to take your hands and plant them outside your body and walk your fingers forward. Now, as I walk, notice I'm not dropping my chest. I'm keeping my chest lifted. I'm doing more reaching here, okay? Find that happy place. Always breathing, bringing oxygen to those muscles. Now walk it back. Good. Okay. Let's get on all fours. It's the best way for you to see. Okay. So we're on all fours. Your fingers are right underneath. Your hands are right underneath your shoulder girdle. Your knees are open. And I want you to tuck your toes this time. So sometimes tucking our toes really opens up the ankle space. It's a real healthy place to be. If you're ever doing a cat-cow, don't hesitate to do them with a tucked in toe also. So let's do that. Let's do a cat. And then a cow. So let your hips and your back drop. But when they do, you have total control because you're keeping your abdominals nice and strong. Feel your ribs. You got space between your ribs here. One more. Good job. Okay. So now I'm going to pull my belly up, keeping my spine real long. Okay. Now with your hands there, you can release your toes. Keep your feet flat. Next thing I want you to do is just bend at the elbow. Your tailbone's still up towards the ceiling, and then press away. We're just throwing these in for good measure. We want to keep your upper body real strong. Your abdominals are pulling up and in. I always like to give the imagery of when you put on your blue jeans, you know how you pull your belly up and in to get the zipper up? That's the same thing. One more.
You're at 11:10.
Thank you, Allie. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop to the elbow. And then walk the elbow forward and lower the body. So if you're on the elbow, you can see that you have already created an extension here in your back. Real important. A true extension, your scapula should be pulled down and in. So here's where my scapula comes down in. Now let's just drop the chin to the chest and then lift the head straight up, but don't look back. Don't push it back. Always keeping the neck in alignment. So your belly's on the ground right now, and you're probably lazy and letting it hang out there. But I'm going to suggest you pull it in as tight as you can, contract it as tight as you can. And if you're doing that properly, you are not feeling any pressure in your lower lumbar. There's no compression in your lower back here. Okay? So stay with that. Feel length. That's what an extension should be. Okay. Even that little bit of movement gives you an enormous increase of space in your back and neck. Now, taking your fingers down like spider fingers, if you're comfortable with this, if you have hand issues and you can't move the hands that way, then stay on a flat hand. Sometimes shoulders, it bothers shoulders because the shoulders are weak. So you might not want to do this either. But for those of you who want to place a spider finger, go place a spider finger, and it can be farther up. And then lift. And then down. And then inhale, lift. And exhale down. Once again, pull that belly button into your back. You can really feel the opening of your ribs, belly, but you never just let them hang out. You're always contracting. One more. All righty, now we're going to slide all the way down. Take our hands behind us. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is pull your legs together and tuck your toes in. So in this position, you're going to lift the knees off the floor with the toes tucked and then drop them. And then lift them and then drop them. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lift the knee, then lift your head, neck, and chest. But if your toes are tucked, you're not going to be able to lift very high. And then release everything together. And again. All righty, release your feet flat. Keeping your hands on your back. You're going to lift just your upper body, slide your hands down, move them off, and then bring them back. So you look like you're ready to fly. You're a bird, you're out here. Inhale and exhale. This is a true spine stretch. But work through the movement. Don't just jerk your body. Don't just let your body go into a jerky position like that. You want a smooth sailing. Pull that belly in tight. There should be no pressure in your back. Lots of times we feel pressure in our back when we forget to pull our stomach in. And release. Good. Now, with your hands to your side, your shoulders are plugged. You're going to do a prone hip extension. So lift the left leg off the floor. Notice I've only lifted my foot maybe 4 inches at the max. And release. And the other. And release. Keep going. So you lift and lower. So you're lifting. Good. And lowering. Keep going. You want to create length to your body. It's almost like an oppositional pull. You can imagine my hands around your ankles, and I have my hands around your neck, and I'm pulling in different directions to lengthen you. Good for the hamstrings too when you do this. And release feet together. Now taking our hands, we're going to place them underneath our head. So head is rested. You're going to make sure your ribs and your chest are down very tight. Then I'm going to lift my head, neck, shoulders, and chest and my hands. My head is still rested on my hands and release. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Pull that belly in. One more. Very good. All right, hands outside the body. So you're going to push off. You have an option here to push and open up completely. If this is uncomfortable, get out of that. Go right into a child's pose. So feet together. You're going to come back and sit. Or if you like to tuck your toes and sit, go for it. It's up to you wherever you're most comfortable. But just lift the hip. Move your tush back as far as you can and extend those arms. Oh, feels so good. Move up, come out of it. Okay. So we're going to turn around again onto our back. We're going to take this whole time doing our Pilates, okay? Different movements. We're not going to add weights today. Sorry, girls and boys. Where did I put my, oh, here's my ball. Okay, so we're going to try to do, well, we aren't going to try, we are going to do our leg circles. So first things first, pull the belly in and let the back just kind of hang out there, okay? Your arms are long. You're in tabletop. Hey, we got an extension here. So legs are up. So the first thing I want you to do is lower the left leg and then hold on to the right. Point and flex. Feels good. How about we circle? Since we're here, let's do a circle. One direction. And then follow it up with a circle in the other. Okay, release your arms. You're plugged in here. You're going to point your toe in a plantar flexion and you're going to move your leg across your body. Now look it, I'm not lifting. If I lift too much, I'm completely out of alignment. So I'm going to try to keep my hips down, sweep across the floor, bring my leg outside as wide as I crossed it. So you don't want to have your leg, if my leg is crossed here, I don't want my leg to be real wide. Part of the reason is you don't want to pull on the adductors. You don't want your inner thighs to strain. This is about strengthening. Inhale. Exhale, take it up to the top. How about we flex the foot now and reverse the outside and lift. Take it outside. Use that upper back. Use your powerhouse. We call this the powerhouse. Because without the strength of this core, your extremities, you'll get hurt. That's why we want to keep it strong. One more. All right, bring this knee in. One more time, right hand down. Left hand, lower leg. Let's try that. Ugh, that's great. You're a form of stretch. Woo. Inhale, exhale. You can look in one direction too if you prefer. Open up your shoulder. And release it. Okay. Shake it out. You know, there's two sides to every story. So the left leg goes up. The right leg goes long, right? Let's put our hands behind this left leg. So look at your opposite leg and make sure it's straight. Now point and flex your toe. A lot of times we're very short in our hip space and it pulls on the hip, which then creates a bend to the knee on the floor. Now circle. And reverse that circle. And release, keeping the leg, release your arms, point the toe. We're going to single leg circle across the body, down, just barely touching that floor, not even, and you're making an oval. Keep these hips quiet. As you circle through, up you go. Back is down. A lot going on here. Okay, take it in the opposite direction with a flexed foot. So we're going to go up, then around, and up, and around. Very good. You can see that you're working very hard. Drawing that knee in. Okay. Right hand on the lower part of the left leg, left hand down. Inhale, exhale. Shoulders are wide. Back is nice and wide. Feel the stretch into space of the piriformis, through the hip, the back. You're going to be so happy later today. You're going to feel so good. You're going to go out for a great walk. And release. Okay, so we're going to draw our knees in again. And there's two options here. One, you can roll up, or the other, you move to the side and you sit up. So let's stay right there a minute. So we're going to work on stretching out the neck. The first thing I want you to do is take your hand and place it, your right hand, place it underneath your tush. Okay, so it's a little uneven, but this is a really good way to release, like I said earlier, the wrist space from all the texting and, well, mostly computer work. So here's where you are. You're sitting on it. There's length. You're going to now bring your ear, so my right hand is under, I'm bringing my left ear to my left shoulder. And release it. And again, deep breath. Release it. Try one more. Release, okay. So left hand under the left side of your tushy. You feel that sits bones right tight on it. So the same thing, inhale. Feel, whoops, other side. So my right ear to my right shoulder. This is a great stretch for the arms, especially around the joints. I can really feel it. It's great. My neck, ooh, feels good. Try one more. And release it, okay. So now, keeping you're seated on the floor. Now we're going to bring the chin to the chest. we're going to roll to the inside of the right shoulder. You're going to stay there and you're going to bring that hand up, holding on to the crown of your head. So my hand is right around the crown of my head. I'm going to draw the chin in towards my armpit and then release it. And then again, draw it in and fully release it. And again, fully release it, then release the arm. Okay, chin to the chest, roll to the inside of the left. Side to side's different. Be kind to your body. Same thing. Draw the chin in, raise it up. Draw the chin in, use that breath. And again, draw the chin in. Raise it up completely and come center. Okay, there is one thing that I want you to remember, that whenever you're stretching out your neck, we never hold the stretches for very long. They're a second and release it. Because these muscles here and all through here are very sensitive. You want to give it a stretch, but you don't want to overstretch, which is something that can happen in the neck space. The other thing is, do you notice that when you're stretching, you can actually feel from the neck stretch all the way down into your back? Okay, so that just goes to show you what's connected to the middle back. All righty, everybody. It's great to see you.